all-time favorite teammates. If it weren't for this gentleman, we wouldn't have a trampoline at our house. I owe Conner McGill so much, and I'm so excited that today he is Chief Operating Officer of BlackRock Industries. Conner, thanks for joining me, brother. How are you?
Super excited to be here, man. We just, as we said, just took the move out to Texas and finally settled in. Not fully, as you can see, I'm sitting on my couch instead of at a desk. I'd say we're about 95% there. So excited about Texas. I'm excited to talk to you.
I got to go back to where it all started, and just a couple years in at Let's Pave, we had worked with this recruiting firm that had done a really exceptional job of helping fill some administrative assistant roles. And I got this call, and it was, "Hey, this is Lana. We got this guy. I think you got to meet around the office. We call him Mark Wahlberg." I'm like, "Does he want an administrative assistant job?" And then we ended up setting it up like a week later, hired you darn near on the spot as our first ever project manager. But man, what memories do you have of those earliest days working together?
It was a lot. I remember just, you know, I had been kind of really I was doing some carpentry work and kind of came to the realization that I was never going to be great at it and kind of wanted to take my career in a different path. One of my favorite stories is showed up first day to my new construction job, walked into your office and you said, "Good, the new guy got the dress code memo." And got full on suit and tie walking in, and I think I was trying to put my best foot forward, but it also showed how green I was. I just learned the office culture. It was drinking from a fire hose for a while, but really kind of fell in love with project management there. Learned a lot about just how to really white glove a client. And as you know, like worked through the project management field there, went into dip my toes into account management, and got to understand dealing with clients even a little bit more. And then had an appetite to kind of take on some more like complex and larger projects. So went back over to kind of the project management side and started the capital and complex projects division over there, which was really fun with some Home Depots and people like that, and bringing a different dynamic to some of the smaller jobs that we were working on.
For the record, my memory's not great. I think it was a three-piece suit that you wore that first day. You were the best dressed person at the office. That goes without a doubt. I think the second day, I think you started to kind of fit in a little bit better. So, like most things, you're a quick learner. I'm glad you hit that account management piece because, from my perspective, your kind of general construction knowledge was always at a really high level. I don't feel like we ever needed to really work with you on that. But man, once you got it started, kind of working more closely with customers, the sky is the limit. And there are so many kind of legacy customers there that really would award us projects based on whether or not you were going to be the one project managing them or whether or not be involved. And so, I mean, you matured and you grew so much during your tenure with Let's Pave. I mean, so much so that obviously I wouldn't say that I always had this perspective, but when you're leading a business, you got to be really comfortable with the fact that you're creating alumni that are going to go on to do great things. And you were sought after for a couple of different roles. You know, I will take the blame. I talked you out of a couple of different roles, but then when that opportunity with K5, we sat down, we had lunch, we kind of went through the opportunity. I needed some time to sleep on it because I think I knew in my heart of hearts that this was the one that I couldn't talk you out of. And to see now what you've accomplished in just a few short years since there, like, can you talk a little about that transition to K5, specifically the types of projects you got to do, and then how you feel like that set you up for your next career chapter?
I was able to bring a unique aspect even to that company because of some of the account management stuff that I had dealt with. So went from managing, project load of maybe 40 to 70 jobs that are anywhere from $750 restripe to $1 million+ Home Depot. First day getting on a plane, landing in California, and doing a $8 to $10 million railroad project that I was on for the better part of a year. But I really do feel like, you know, account management in a way is good project management. The difference is my customers now, my different contractors, it's the different people out in the yard. Really being able to keep all those people in sync and everyone knowing what's going on, I think really was able to set me apart from other people that they had worked with. It's never fun to have someone come in and rip up your business, especially their business is moving things from one place to another. So if I'm tearing up one of their roads, I'm losing them money. They're not in the business of building parking lots and buildings. They're in the business of shipping. So really letting those guys know, hey, I'm going to be affecting you like this in the future. How can we make sure you're still efficient? So I think that was really something that I carried with me the rest of my career there.
Yeah, and I mean, the time you spent at K5, I mean, you started with that like $10 million job, but I mean, quickly thereafter, you were doing projects of what size?
The project that I spent the past 2 years doing in Northern California, all said and done, will probably be in the like 80 to $90 million range. So,
Yeah, see, that's the part that you have a lot of humility, which I really appreciate. But I mean, I think just kind of zooming out in the 10 years that I've known you, $750 restrip, like good luck getting those prices today. But again, those minimum charge type projects to then half a decade later being able to manage 80, 90, $100 million projects, that speaks to like your work ethic, your abilities. And when I first met you, I feel like you had this chip on your shoulder about kind of started at Illinois State. There was some stuff where you had to move closer to home. You're always trying to prove to everyone else kind of what you're capable of and all that time. And so now, I'm starting to tear up a little bit, like see you become a C-suite executive in a really successful company is like I'm incredibly proud of you. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the transition to BlackRock and then kind of why is this the perfect opportunity for you? And then what are your plans for BlackRock?
yeah. So I think um, I've gotten a good scope of different experience, right? So been with Let's Pave when it was, I think I was the 12th hire there. And I kind of watched how we adapted and grew throughout, I think we were maybe 36 to 40 heads when I left. So I saw kind of what went well and what didn't go well there. And then going to, a company that's got I don't even know how many members, some of the systems that they had to put in place when you're dealing with that kind of scale. So I feel like I have a really good idea on the steps that I need to take to get there, some of the organization I want to put in place, what it looks like having the right people in the right places. I've met some really great people that hopefully I bring on in the near future, some really good field people, really good salespeople, and stuff like that. So really, we're really good at what we do. We're really good at the construction piece, but I think we need to ramp up even more how we're serving our clients. So I want to make sure that everyone feels like they're getting the white glove experience. What's unique about us right now is you call us, you're ringing to an owner or a C suite level executive. And I want people to know that. And even as we grow and our plans for growing, that's going to continue. I'm
Yeah.
mentoring Michael O'Patterney, who's Mike's son. He's the heir to the throne and he's really smart and he's grown up in it. And I think, as he continues to grow, he'll be just excellent at the helm. So I'm trying to pass on as much knowledge to him as I can. Hopefully one day he's just telling me to get out of his way. So I'm
I think you
excited.
got some time. You got some time before that happens, but it's yeah, it's interesting. I would give obviously the team at BlackRock some credit. Stan in particular has been bursting at the seams only like since COVID. So right about the time BlackRock was really getting started, the population trends just changed in like Austin, Texas just started expanding and now it pretty much touches San Antonio and elsewhere. you know, I think the O'Patterneys were drinking out of a fire hose for a long period of time. So now that, they're able to bring in some talent like you and kind of really work on that foundation, it's going to be transformative. I mean, what you guys are going to be able to do is, I'm excited to cheer it on. And I think it's a really good kind of segue as you talk about mentoring Michael Jr. What advice would you give to yourself? I mean, 18-year-old Conner McGill, how would you speak to that young man today?
Yeah. Um, so I thought a lot about this question because I don't think I would ever change anything that I've done in my life. So I'm like, what did I do that got me to where I'm at? So I think the one thing that I has really guided me is just finding good mentors and just following their lead and soaking up as much information as possible. And then I guess the other advice I would give to myself is you can't get good at something without practice. Your first rep is always going to be worse than your second. You got to rip the band-aid off. You got to, it's scary, but you just got to get out there and do it, and you're going to get better.
Sounds like you're talking about like your powerlifting days. Just like ripping the callus off. No, I totally agree. I mean, given the fact that you've worked in the field with different crews, you've worked with store managers, regional managers, district managers, folks at corporate, all different types of professionals, how do you want to be thought of by the people that you've worked with?
I want to be remembered by the culture that I brought, whether it's with a customer, as we said, no one's excited for you to come and take up the footprint that we're taking up. We're ripping up your parking lot. We're affecting their business. You, I want to be remembered by the work that we did and not the disturbance that we caused. So I want to leave with a good taste in their mouth. And
Yeah.
even like working with subs and stuff like that. I mean, think historically, I think back to my carpentry days, it's yelling and screaming and whoever's got the, bigger stick is winning the argument. It doesn't have to be like that. I think, if everyone just takes a deep breath and works together and figures out where everyone's pain points are, it can be a much easier experience. And so I try and keep a level head and just bring a good energy to the experience.
That is a very different answer than I would have gotten from you 10 years ago. And for a lot of my career, that's a very different answer that I would have given, but I totally agree with you. I think very much related to that, what's one kind of core personal value or principle that you live by?
So I kind of took this question a little bit differently, but I think because I had such strong mentors, yourself being one of them, that really got me to where I am today. I'm very big on coaching and teaching some of the younger guys, or even just not necessarily younger, but less experienced people that are hungry. I don't gatekeep anything. I want to pass on as much knowledge and stuff like that as possible.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. I'm glad you corrected yourself in terms of kind of younger versus experience, because from my perspective, you've fit decades of experience into your career so far. And so you still have a very, very long career ahead of you. Again, I kind of be more excited about the opportunity that you're stepping into. I know I'm excited you're already in Texas. Obviously, on the personal side, you're doing great. You're crushing it. All of those things, man. I couldn't be happier for you. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you again for helping me move my trampoline. And just on the personal side, always being able to check in on family and that type of stuff. This friendship means a lot. So, really appreciate you, Connor. Wishing you the best of luck. Thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with me today. All
Anytime.
right. See you, brother.
So yeah.